How to manage time like the successful. If you don't control your time will control your life. That's the simple truth most people ignore. Look around. People say they're busy all the time, but they're not moving forward. They're stuck in cycles, scrolling, switching, avoiding, and calling it productivity. The successful don't live like that. They don't let the day decide for them. They decide before the day even starts. This video is for you if you're tired of wasting hours, feeling overwhelmed, or go to bed knowing could have done more. You don't need more time. You need better use of the time you already have. The people getting ahead, they're not working longer. They're just working smarter. They built time habits that actually match the life they want. And you can, too. In this audiobook, you're going to learn exactly how to manage time like the successful. No fluff, no theory. Just real clear steps that actually work. Chapter 1. Start your morning by knowing your next move. You want to manage time like the successful? Then you have to start your morning by knowing your next move. Not by chance, not by luck, not by scrolling your phone. You need a clear and specific intention for your day the moment you wake up. You see, how you start your day is how you train your mind. If you open your eyes in the morning and have no direction, your brain will follow whatever grabs your attention. And that's where most people lose. Not because they're lazy, not because they lack potential, but because they start their day with no control over it. And time doesn't wait for anyone to figure out halfway through. Successful people don't rely on memory or motivation to move forward. They have structure. They have clarity. They know what needs to be done. And they prepare themselves mentally before they even step into the day. That's the edge. Not working harder than everyone. Just being clearer than everyone. So the question is, when your eyes open, do you already know what your first action is? Or do you guess and hope the day goes right? Because the successful don't guess, they decide. The night before they write it down, they visualize the morning. They tell themselves what the day is going to be about. That's not just planning. That's owning time before it starts controlling you. Time is a tool. You can either shape it or be shaped by it. You can either move it toward what matters or let it slip into what's easy. And the truth is, if you wake up with no plan, no purpose, no real direction, the day is already in the hands of the world. Emails, messages, people's opinions, they all start deciding what your time will be used for. But when you wake up and already know your next move, you're not following the day, you're leading it. I always say the first 30 minutes in the morning will tell you everything about a person's discipline. You don't need to look at someone's schedule, their job, their income. Just watch what they do when the alarm rings. That's the test. Because the successful don't waste those first few minutes. They get up, they move with purpose. They go straight into what matters most. Now, I'm not saying you need to jump into 100 tasks at once. That's not clarity. That's chaos. I'm talking about one thing, the next move, one action that aligns with what you truly value, one thing that makes your day matter. If you start your day with confusion, you spend the rest of it trying to catch up. But if you start your day with direction, you create the rhythm you need to win. This isn't about waking up early for the sake of it. This is about waking up with intention. You can wake up at 5 a.m. or 9 a.m., but what matters is whether you already know what you're going to do, whether you already made a decision about how your energy will be used. That decision is what gives you power. Most people roll over and grab their phone. They check notifications. They check other people's lives. They start reacting before they even take one real step forward. And that habit over time kills focus. It trains your brain to wait for the world to tell you what to do. But the successful don't wait. They act. They choose. They move. You've got to understand something. Your life is a result of your habits. And your habits start the moment you wake up. If you want to build a life that means something, start by building mornings that are strong. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to do everything at once. You just need to begin with clarity. Imagine waking up and knowing exactly what needs to be done. Imagine the calm that comes from that. No rushing, no guessing, just movement, just action. That's not just productive, that's powerful. That's how confidence is built. Because when you start the day by doing what you said you would do, your mind starts trusting you. And when your mind trusts you, everything changes. Your energy shifts. Your decisions sharpen. Your self-respect grows. You want to manage time like the successful. Then stop waiting for the day to organize itself. Stop hoping you'll figure it out when you feel ready. You won't. Success doesn't come to those who wait until they feel like it. It comes to those who move before the world wakes up. Those who prepare the night before. Those who have a list, a purpose, a real reason to get up and move. And if you're thinking, well, I don't know what my next move should be, then that's your first move. Get clear on what matters to you. What do you value? What needs to be done that you've been avoiding? What have you promised yourself that you haven't followed through on yet? Start there. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need a real one. Start small. Start with 1 hour in the morning where your actions are yours. No distractions, no reactions, just you, your thoughts, and your direction. That 1 hour will change everything because that hour trains your mind to focus. It trains you to lead your time, not chase it. You might not feel ready. That's okay. Do it anyway. The successful do not wait for motivation. They use discipline to create momentum. And once momentum builds, motivation shows up, but not before. You don't feel like starting, start anyway. You don't feel clear, take one small step. The action brings a clarity, not the other way around. Time is not the problem. Lack of clarity is. Most people don't have a time issue. They have a decision issue. They don't decide what matters. They don't decide what their next move is. And when you avoid decisions, you stay stuck. But when you choose what matters to you right now, everything around you begins to change. Don't let another morning pass you by with confusion. You deserve better. You deserve to wake up and feel in control. You deserve to have structure that frees your mind. You deserve to end the day knowing it moved you forward. But that only comes when the beginning is intentional. Make it simple. Write down your next move before you go to sleep. Set the tone. Make the decision. Then follow through when you wake up. That's how trust is built. That's how time is managed. That's how success is created. One morning at a time with one clear move. And if you ever forget the power of this, remember this truth. Every day you waste is a day you never get back. Every morning you drift through is a morning you lose forever. But every morning you take charge, it becomes a foundation for the life you're trying to build. So if you want to manage time like the successful, stop waiting for perfect timing. Start using the time you already have, beginning with how you start your morning. Know your next move. Then do it. That's how winners are made. That's how success becomes your reality. Chapter 2. Fix your relationship with time right now. Today. Most people don't realize this, but your relationship with time is the reason your life feels either full or empty, clear or confused, calm or chaotic. Time isn't the enemy. It isn't the problem. It's how you see it and how you treat it that shapes everything. You have to fix that relationship. Not tomorrow, not someday, but right now, today. Because how you view time is how you live your life. If you keep telling yourself there's never enough time, that becomes a truth you live by. And when that belief settles in, you start rushing, skipping, delaying, avoiding. You start building excuses around every little thing you could be doing. Time isn't moving faster. You're just not in charge of it. And that's where the stress begins. The pressure, the anxiety, the overwhelm. All of that builds because your time is running without direction. You can't build a strong life with a broken relationship to time. It's like trying to grow in a place where nothing takes root. You say you want to be better, but if you keep misusing time, nothing will change. Successful people don't treat time like a burden or a chase. They treat it like a tool, something to be used wisely, something to be respected. They take ownership of it, and that's why they stay ahead. The way you think about time shows up in how you use it. If you constantly say, I don't have time, what you really mean is it's not important enough to me. That sounds harsh, but it's real. You do have time. You're just spending it without awareness. And that's the first shift you have to make. You have to stop blaming time and start holding yourself responsible for how it's being used. Look at your day honestly. Where does your time go? How much of it is spent on things that actually move your life forward? How much of it is lost to distraction, to worrying, to waiting for the right moment? You don't need to feel guilty, but you do need to wake up, because every day you live is one day less you get to change. And most people realize this far too late. You need to be aware of something. Time doesn't slow down because you're tired. It doesn't pause because you're unsure. It doesn't wait because you're still thinking about starting. Time moves forward whether you use it or not. And that's why it's urgent to get in sync with it. If you're always running behind, always catching up, always reacting, your time is leading you instead of the other way around. You can't keep treating time like it's unlimited, because it isn't. And when you finally face that, you stop wasting it on things that don't matter. You stop giving your hours to people who don't value you. You stop living like the clock owes you something. It doesn't, but you can take control by choosing how your hours are used. That's where your strength is. In choice, in discipline, in being honest about how much you want to grow. Start by paying attention. Be brutally clear about how much of your day is lost to indecision. Be clear about how often you say later when you really mean never. Be clear about how many goals you've set but never scheduled. You don't need more hours. You need more honesty. That's how you fix your relationship with time. You take a hard look at where it's actually going. There are people who work 2 jobs, raise families, build something on the side, and still find time to grow. Not because they're special, but because they've made time their partner, not their excuse. They don't wait for ideal circumstances. They carve time out of hard days. They know that if you wait for life to be easy before you take action, you will be waiting forever. Time is neutral. It doesn't favor the rich or the poor, the young or the old. It gives everyone the same 24 hours. The difference is in how people use it. And the truth is, how you spend your hours is how you build your future. One decision at a time, one task at a time, one boundary at a time. You want success, then you have to stop giving your best hours to your worst habits. This is where most people fall off. They want change, but they don't want to change how they treat their time. They keep waiting for a magical burst of motivation or the perfect schedule to land in their lap. But it doesn't work that way. Motivation shows up when you start doing. Structure appears when you start committing. Clarity grows when you start taking small steps, not when you keep thinking about taking them. You need to take time seriously, not fearfully, not obsessively, just seriously. Start by setting priorities and sticking to them. Stop saying yes to everything. Start protecting your mornings. Start planning your days the night before. Start putting limits on how much time you spend on things that don't feed your future. These are not huge changes. They're practical ones, but they change everything. When you fix your relationship with time, you get your power back. You no longer feel like life is rushing past you. You stop being reactive and start being intentional. You stop feeling like everything is urgent and start focusing on what's actually important. And you stop being stuck in the same place month after month, because now you're making progress every single day. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters. You can be busy all day and still be wasting time. Movement isn't always progress. You need to learn the difference between staying active and being effective. The successful know this. They aren't trying to fill every minute with something. They're trying to make every minute count for something. This means you need to slow down and think. What kind of life are you building with the hours you have? Are you proud of how your time is being used, or are you just surviving through the day? If it's the second one, it's time to change. You don't need to fix everything at once, but you do need to begin today. Maybe that means setting a clear time to wake up every morning. Maybe that means finally saying no to things that always throw your day off. Maybe it means deleting apps that eat away your hours. Maybe it means scheduling your work instead of doing everything on the fly. These are small changes, but they fix the broken patterns. And those patterns are what are keeping you stuck. Success doesn't come from dramatic moments. It comes from how you use the next hour. That's the truth. That's what most people miss. They keep waiting for a breakthrough. They keep waiting to feel ready. But breakthroughs don't come from waiting. They come from showing up every day with structure, discipline, and clarity. And if you've been struggling to manage your time, you're not lazy. You're just disconnected from what matters. You've been too distracted, too overwhelmed, too buried in the chaos of everything else. But it's not too late. You can fix this. Not by trying to do everything perfectly, but by making one better decision today than you did yesterday. You need to remind yourself that your time is your life. Every minute you spend is a piece of your future. And when you begin to respect your time, you begin to respect yourself. You stop tolerating what drains you. You stop pretending you're okay with falling behind. You stop telling yourself that next week will be different. You make it different today. You want real change? Then fix your relationship with time. Get clear. Get focused. Get disciplined. You don't need more motivation. You need structure. You need truth. You need a routine that reflects who you want to become. And you need to build it today, not someday. Your future is being built right now. Not by what you dream about, but by what you do with your time. Don't give your life to distraction. Don't trade your potential for temporary comfort. Don't let time keep slipping through your hands. Grab hold of it. Take control of it. Use it with purpose. Because once you learn how to manage your time, you learn how to manage your life. And once you manage your life, everything changes. Your confidence, your peace, your success. But it all begins when you fix your relationship with time. Not later, not when things slow down, not when it feels easier. It starts now. It starts today. Chapter 3. Take back control from distractions running your life. Distractions are everywhere. They come from your phone, your thoughts, your surroundings, and even people close to you. And if you're not careful, they will steal your time, drain your energy, and leave you feeling frustrated at the end of every day. If you want to take your life seriously, if you want to move forward with real results, you have to take back control from the things that keep pulling you away from what truly matters. Because the truth is distractions aren't harmless. They are the reason you keep starting but never finishing. They are the reason your mind feels foggy, and they are the reason you're always behind. You don't need more time. You need less noise, and that noise is not always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, sneaky, and constant. A quick check of social media turns into 20 minutes. A harmless scroll becomes an entire hour. You go to reply to one message, and suddenly you've read 5 articles you didn't care about. It happens fast. And the worst part is it happens without awareness. You don't even notice how much of your day is being taken from you. To take control, you have to first notice what's controlling you. What pulls your attention the moment you sit down to do something important? What shows up every time you try to focus? Who or what is constantly breaking your rhythm? You can't fix what you don't face. And most people are too used to being distracted to even recognize the pattern. They think it's normal to never feel focused. They think it's just how life works. But that's not true. It's not normal. It's just repeated. You need to pause and ask yourself, how often do I actually experience deep, clear focus? How many hours a day am I really locked into what I care about? If the answer is low, don't blame your discipline yet. Start with your environment. Your surroundings affect your behavior more than you realize. If you're always accessible, always connected, always available to anything or anyone, you'll never be fully present in your own goals. You'll always be half in, half out, and that's a dangerous place to live. Real work, the kind that changes your life, requires full attention. It requires mental space. It requires time without interruption. If you're constantly switching from one thing to another, you're not making progress. You're just staying busy. And being busy is not the same as being effective. The successful know this. That's why they protect their focus. That's why they build systems that keep distractions out, not because they're better than others, but because they've learned that focus is a resource and it must be guarded. You have to start doing the same. If you want to change your results, you have to change how you work. That starts by setting boundaries. Turn off notifications that don't matter. Silence things that don't need your attention right now. Set clear times when you are unreachable. That's not being rude. That's being responsible. You can't be available to the whole world and expect to build a life that's truly yours. Start small. Choose 1 hour each day where nothing interrupts you. No calls, no messages, no apps, no tabs open in the background. Just one task, one purpose, one goal. You'll be surprised how much you get done in 1 hour of pure focus, compared to 4 hours of distracted effort. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters without interference. You also need to take control of your mental distraction. It's not just the phone or the outside world. Sometimes the loudest distractions are inside your own mind. Thoughts that jump around, worries that loop, random ideas that pull you away from what's in front of you. That mental noise needs to be handled, too. And the best way to manage it is to write things down. Don't keep everything in your head. Use paper. Use notes. Use systems. Empty your mind so you can use it. Distractions don't go away by themselves. You have to remove them on purpose. You have to clear space intentionally. You have to say no to what doesn't belong in your day. And yes, that means discipline. That means choosing structure over impulse. That means not giving in every time something entertaining shows up. You're not missing out. You're making space for what actually builds your life. Most people think discipline is hard. But you know what's harder? Regret. Regret from another day wasted. Regret from knowing you could have done better, but didn't. Regret from knowing you were the one who let distractions steal your time. You don't need to be perfect, but you do need to be serious. If something keeps getting in the way of your progress, remove it. If someone constantly breaks your focus, have the conversation. If a habit keeps leading you away from what matters, replace. You don't owe your time to every notification, every update, or every invitation. You owe your time to your future. You owe it to your growth. You owe it to the life you say you want. But that life isn't going to show up by accident. You have to build it piece by piece, hour by hour. And that requires you to be present, fully present with the task at hand. You have to start noticing the patterns that waste your energy. Do you reach for your phone every time there's a pause in your day? Do you check emails constantly even when nothing is urgent? Do you let social media decide how you feel? These patterns add up. They weaken your focus. They leave you feeling busy but empty. That's not productivity. That's avoidance. And it has to stop. You are capable of more than you're doing right now. Not because you lack motivation, but because you're surrounded by interruptions and you've normalized them. But you don't have to accept that. You can design your environment to support your goals. You can make focus easier by removing what breaks it. You can take back control, but you have to do it on purpose. Start by creating rules for yourself, not restrictions. Rules that serve your life. No phone during your first hour of work. One task at a time. A clear start and end time for important project. A quiet place where your brain can breathe. These aren't extreme changes. They are simple acts of self-respect. Don't confuse distraction with relaxation. Checking your phone every few minutes is not rest. Switching from task to task is not recovery. Real rest requires full disconnection. Real focus requires full attention. And if you don't give yourself either, you'll always feel behind, always drained, always scattered. Your brain was built for depth. It performs best when it can stay on one thing long enough to understand it, create from it, and complete it. But modern life trains us to be shallow, to skim, to jump, to switch. And that's why you feel tired even after doing nothing meaningful. You've spent your mental energy on fragments. Instead of focus, you need to train your mind again Start practicing long periods of uninterrupted work. Reward yourself for finishing. Instead of starting, make space between tasks so your brain can reset. Close tabs that you're not using. Put your phone in another room. Create conditions where excellence is possible. Because if you don't, distractions will keep running your life. You'll keep reacting instead of building. You'll keep watching others succeed while wondering why you're stuck. But it won't be because you're less talented or less capable. It will be because your time was broken into pieces too small to matter. You can fix that, but you have to start today. Stop giving energy to things that don't grow you. Stop treating your focus like it's endless. It isn't. Use it wisely. Protect it fiercely. And remember, success is not built on how much you know. It's built on what you do with what you know, and that requires attention. The people who make real progress don't do it by chance. They take control of their minutes. They know where their time is going. They work in blocks, not bursts. They train themselves to stay with discomfort long enough to get through. They resist the urge to escape every time something feels hard. And because of that, they win. So now it's your turn. Look around at the things that are stealing your attention. Look at the habits that keep pulling you off course. Look at the time you're giving away to things that won't matter a week from now. And then make a decision. A clear decision to take back control. It won't happen overnight. You'll have to adjust. You'll have to catch yourself. But with time, your ability to focus will grow. Your discipline will get stronger. And your progress will become real. This is your life, your time, your goals. You're in charge, not the noise, not the apps, not the distractions. And when you finally take back control, you'll realize something powerful. Focus feels better than anything you've been chasing. Peace feels better than constant updates. And progress feels better than being pulled in every direction. Take it back. All of it. 1 hour at a time, one decision at a time, one focused day after another. That's how success is built. And it starts with you choosing to stop letting distractions run your life. Starting now. Chapter 4. Push through resistance and complete what you begin. There comes a point in every journey where it gets hard. Not because the path is unclear, but because your mind starts fighting back. Resistance doesn't show up when you're sitting still. It shows up when you finally decide to move. It appears when you commit to something meaningful. That's when you feel the pull to quit, to delay, to make excuses. But if you want to grow, if you want to get to the next level of your life, you must learn to push through that resistance and finish what you start. Finishing is rare because most people live in excitement of beginning. Starting something new feels good. It gives a quick burst of hope. You imagine what it could become, how it might change your life. And for a moment, it feels like everything is possible. But once the effort becomes real, once it demands time, energy, and discomfort, that excitement fades. And this is where most people stop. Not because they can't do it, not because it's impossible, but because they never train themselves to push through resistance when it gets uncomfortable. You're not weak because it feels hard. That's normal. You're human, but you're responsible for what you do next. Do you stop? Do you back out and look for something easier? Or do you stay in it and move forward anyway? Growth doesn't come from doing what feels good. It comes from doing what's required, even when you don't feel like it. And that kind of consistency is what separates those who get results from those who keep starting over. You can't build strength without struggle. You can't build trust in yourself if you always walk away when it's hard. Finishing matters. It teaches you that your word means something. That when you say you'll do something, you actually mean it. And every time you follow through, even when it's uncomfortable, you build confidence. Not the kind that needs praise, but the kind that's real, solid, and internal. It's not about doing everything perfectly. It's about staying with the process long enough to see it through. Most people start a project, a plan, a new habit, but never get past the first roadblock. They tell themselves the timing isn't right. They convince themselves it wasn't meant to be. But the truth is they gave up because it wasn't easy. And if you always wait for it to be easy, you'll spend your whole life starting over. You have to get used to finishing things. Not because it's fun, but because it trains your char act. It shows you that you're capable of more than your mood. It proves that your decisions are stronger than your distractions. And that kind of control, that kind of discipline changes everything in your life. Because once you become someone who finishes what they begin, your time becomes more valuable. Your energy becomes more focused. Your results become more real. There's always going to be a moment where you want to stop. Maybe you feel tired. Maybe things aren't working as fast as you hope. Maybe doubt starts creeping in. That's the moment you must be stronger than your thoughts. Because your thoughts will try to pull you away from the work. They'll try to protect you from effort, from stress, from failure. But you're not here to live a safe life. You're here to grow. And growth only happens when you push beyond where you used to stop. One of the best ways to deal with resistance is to break things down. When a task feels too big, your mind panics. It wants to run. But if you break it into steps, if you focus on the next small move, the pressure fades. You don't need to do it all at once. You just need to keep going. One move, one action, one day at a time. That's how real progress is made. You also need to stop relying on how you feel. Feelings change. 1 hour you're motivated. The next you're drained. If you only work when you feel good, your results will stay small. But if you learn to show up no matter what, you will begin to shift. That shift is what makes people successful. They don't ask, do I feel like it? They ask, did I commit to this? And if the answer is yes, they move. There's power in showing up. There's power in choosing discipline over comfort. You might not see it right away, but over time it compounds. You get stronger. You become more focused. You start trusting yourself on a level most people never reach. And once you build that, there's no turning back. You stop quitting. You stop needing shortcuts. You stop letting resistance control your path. You have to stop thinking that struggle means you're failing. It doesn't. It means you're growing. It means you're doing something most people don't. And that's the point. If it was easy, everyone would finish. But not everyone does. Most stop when it gets uncomfortable. But the successful push through. They stay with it. They finish even when they feel like quitting. And that's why they succeed. Think about all the things you've started in the past. Think about how many of them never got completed. Not because they didn't matter. Not because they weren't good ideas, but because you stopped. That pattern has to end. You have to become someone who closes loops. Someone who doesn't leave everything halfway done. That kind of discipline isn't just good for results. It's good for your mind. It gives you peace. It gives you clarity. It clears the noise of all the unfinished things you're carrying. Finishing is freedom. It means your mind is not tied up in guilt. It means your focus is not split in 1,000 directions. It means you can trust yourself to follow through. And once you have that, you stop needing to prove anything to anyone else. You already know who you are, and that kind of confidence is rare. You need to build that identity. The kind where people know you don't back down when it's hard. The kind where you know you'll figure it out even when things go wrong. That identity isn't built by talking. It's built by doing, by staying in the process, by pushing through the resistance that shows up every time you decide to change. When resistance hits, it doesn't feel loud. It's subtle. You feel tired. You feel unsure. You feel like maybe today isn't the day. That's how it works. It convinces you to take a break. It tells you one missed day won't matter. It tries to comfort you into quitting slowly. You don't even notice until weeks have passed and the goal is left behind again. But this time it's different. This time you see it for what it is. It's not a signal to stop. It's a sign to push harder. That feeling of resistance means you're moving in the right direction. Because if you were doing nothing important, resistance wouldn't show up. It only appears when you're on the edge of growth. The hardest part is often right before breakthrough. That's when it gets loud. That's when your thoughts tell you to quit. But if you stay in it a little longer, you'll start to see things shift. The work becomes smoother. The results start showing. your confidence returns. But none of that happens if you stop when it gets uncomfortable. You owe it to yourself to complete what you start, not just for the goal, but for the person you become in the process. Because the person who finishes is not the same as the one who began. You're more focused, more steady, more capable. And once you've built that version of yourself, you can apply it to anything. Don't look for the easy way. Look for the honest way, the real way, the consistent way. That's what gets results. That's what builds character. And that's what makes life feel meaningful. You're not here to stay the same. You're here to grow. And every challenge is part of that growth. Finish what you start, even when it's boring, even when it's hard, even when you'd rather be doing something else. Finish because you said you would. Finish because you're becoming the kind of person who sees things through. Finish because your future depends on it. And when you finally cross that line, when you look back and realize you didn't quit, there's nothing like that feeling. It's not loud. It's not flashy. It's quiet. It's steady. It's peaceful. It's knowing that you didn't let resistance win. You stayed with it. You grew through it. You finished. That's what successful people do. And that's what you're now becoming. One push at a time. One finish at a time. One strong choice after another. Starting now. Chapter 5. Protect your focus like it actually means something. Focus is not just something you use to get work done. It's the very thing that determines the direction and quality of your life. If you don't protect your focus, you won't just waste time, you'll waste potential. You'll look back and realize you spent years reacting to life instead of building it. That's why this chapter matters. You have to start protecting your focus like it actually means something, because it does. It means everything. Most people don't even realize how fragile focus is. It's not something that survives on its own. It has to be guarded, supported, and defended from the moment your day begins. And the truth is, if you don't decide what gets your attention, everything else will. The news will take it. Social media will take it. Notifications will take it. Other people's problems will take it. Focus doesn't get stolen in big chunks. It gets chipped away 5 minutes at a time until nothing meaningful gets done. You have to stop treating your attention like it's limitless. It isn't. You only get a certain amount of clear thinking each day. Once it's gone, your ability to make good decisions, solve problems, and stay on task drops fast. So, the more distractions you let in, the less of you is left for what actually matters. That's the real cost of the scattered mind. You stop showing up fully. You start cutting corners. You start drifting through your responsibilities instead of owning them. The people who create real results in life are not the ones with more talent or intelligence. They're the ones who protect their focus. They treat it like a limited resource. They create structure around it. They don't let the outside world decide how they think or feel. They take ownership of their mental space, and they're not afraid to set boundaries to protect it. You can do the same. But it starts by understanding one thing. Not everything deserves your attention. Just because something shows up doesn't mean it deserves a response. Just because someone calls doesn't mean you need to answer. Just because there's something new to look at doesn't mean it's worth your time. If it doesn't move you forward, it's not helping. And if it's not helping, it's hurting. There's no neutral when it comes to focus. You're either building it or breaking it. You're either using it with intention or letting it slip away. That's why you have to become ruthless about what gets your energy. You need to start designing your day around focus instead of noise. Turn off anything that doesn't serve your highest priorities. That's not being harsh. That's being smart. Start by identifying your focus triggers. What helps you drop into deep work? What kind of environment makes you more clear-headed? What time of day do you think best? You need to build your schedule around those moments. Give your best energy to your most important work. Stop spending your strongest hours checking messages and scrolling endlessly. That's how energy gets wasted and purpose gets delayed. You also need to simplify. Too many people are overwhelmed because their attention is split across 100 tasks. They're trying to manage too much at once, and nothing gets done well. Simplicity creates clarity. It gives your mind space to breathe. Focus isn't just about saying yes to the right things. It's about saying no to everything else. Start cutting. Cut out the habits that keep pulling you off course. Cut out the people who constantly interrupt your rhythm. Cut out the apps and tabs and content that fill your head with noise. You're not being rude. You're being responsible with your life. You only get one mind. You only get one focus. Don't trade it for cheap entertainment or shallow distractions. It's also time to set rules, not for punishment, but for freedom. Create clear blocks in your day when you are unreachable. Schedule time to work without interruption. Let people know when you're not available. And most importantly, respect your own rules. Don't break your focus to reply to every buzz or ping. Don't let the outside world teach you to be reactive. Train yourself to stay in control. There's a reason you feel tired, even when you haven't done much. It's because your focus has been pulled in too many directions. Your brain is tired, not from deep thinking, but from switching constantly between random tasks. That switching costs you more energy than you realize. You lose time refocusing. You lose energy rebuilding momentum. You lose clarity every time you stop and start again. If you want to stop feeling mentally drained, you need to stop letting yourself be pulled away so easily. You have to remember that every interruption has a cost. Even small one. You think it's just one message, one scroll, one quick check, but it adds up, and before you know it, your attention is gone. Your ideas are scattered. Your time is wasted, and you're left with another unfinished task and another day that slipped through your fingers. That's not the life you want to live. You want to look back and know that you gave your energy to what really mattered, that your work meant something, that your goals got your full effort, that you didn't just move through the day. You owned it, but that only happens when you start acting like your focus is valuable. Protect it with everything you've got. Start your day with intention, not reaction. Choose what gets your attention, and don't apologize for it. Block out the time to think deeply and work clearly. Build routines that support your energy. Surround yourself with people who respect your time. And most of all, stop breaking your own focus for things that don't move you forward. You don't need more motivation. You need more protection. You need fewer leaks in your time. You need a schedule that reflects your goals. You need habits that support your direction. And once you build those, everything changes. You start finishing more. You start thinking more clearly. You start showing up with more presence in everything you do. It's not complicated, but it does require commitment. You have to be willing to let go of comfort. You have to give up the false sense of urgency that makes everything feel important. You have to slow down long enough to focus deeply on one thing at a time, because that's where real value is created. Not in multitasking, not in checking boxes, but in focus, clear, deliberate effort. You are not behind. You are not too late. You're just distracted, and that can be fixed. Starting today, you can take your mind back. You can choose to be present with your work. You can give your full energy to what matters, and you can build the kind of discipline that leads to real success. You don't have to respond to everything. You don't need to be constantly connected. You don't need to prove that you're business. What you need is depth. What you need is space. What you need is time that's actually yours. And when you give yourself that, you start seeing progress where there used to be noise. The more you protect your focus, the more you protect your future. Because your future is being built right now. Not in some distant moment, but in this one, in how you use this hour, in how you manage this task, in how you guard your attention. The best work of your life won't come from pressure or chaos. It will come from clarity, from discipline, from presence. And that's what focus gives you. A quiet strength, a mental edge, a deeper sense of control over your time and your direction. So treat it like it matters, because it does more than anything else. Focus is not something you find. It's something you protect with your habits, with your choices, with your environment, with your life. And if you can do that, If you can truly protect your focus, there is nothing you cannot build, solve, create, or become. Everything starts there, right where you are, right? Chapter 6. Build time habits that match the life you want. Your time habits are shaping your entire life. Every single day, the way you use your hours is pointing you toward a future, whether it's the one you want or not. If your current routines don't line up with the kind of life you say you want, something has to change. Not someday now, because time won't wait for you to figure out. It keeps moving. And if you don't take charge of your patterns, your life ends up becoming a reflection of your distractions instead of your vision. What you do consistently is more important than what you do occasionally. Most people want change, but they don't want to change their habits. They hold on to old patterns while wishing for a better life. But that's not how it works. You can't build a strong body with lazy routines. You can't grow a business with scattered effort. You can't build peace with chaotic mornings. If you want a better life, you need habits that support it. Habits that are built into your day, not forced once in a while when you feel motivated. It's time to get clear about the life you want. Do you want to feel calm and focused? Do you want to be productive and consistent? Do you want to earn more, learn more, become more? Great. Then look at your daily habits and ask yourself, do these actions move me in that direction? Because if your time is spent reacting, avoiding, or drifting, you're not building. You're waiting. And waiting leads nowhere. There's nothing wrong with starting small. In fact, it's the only way lasting change happens. Don't try to flip your entire life in one day. That's not sustainable. Focus on 1 or 2 time habits that make a difference. Maybe it's waking up with a plan. Maybe it's setting boundaries around your distractions. Maybe it's creating 1 hour a day for deep focus work. Whatever it is, start doing it every single day, not just when life is easy. Successful people don't rely on motivation. They rely on system. They've built time habits that run whether they feel good or not. Those habits act like anchors. They keep them grounded when life gets stressful. You need those anchors, too. You need habits that support your growth, not just your comfort. And that requires being intentional. It begins with your morning. How you start your day sets the tone for everything that follows. If you begin your day reacting to the world, you spend the rest of it trying to catch up. But if you start with clarity, discipline, and purpose, you move through your day with direction. That's not magic. That's a habit. And habits are built through repetition, not emotion. Next, you need to be honest about your energy. What time of day are you most alert? When you think most clearly? Don't waste those hours. Don't give them away to meaningless tasks or pointless scrolling. Use your best energy on your most important work. That one change alone can shift the results you get from every day. Start tracking how you spend your time. Not to shame yourself, but to become aware. Most people don't realize how much time is lost doing things that don't matter. 10 minutes here, 20 there. It all adds up. And over the course of a week, those hours could have been used to learn, grow, build something real. But instead, they're gone, wasted, forgotten. That's not the life you want to live. You want to feel like your days are moving you forward. And they can, but only when you take full responsibility for them. Only when you stop blaming time and start managing it. You don't need more hours. You need better habits. You need a structure that makes your goals automatic. That's the real key. Removing the need for decision every time. The more habits you build around your priorities, the less energy you waste deciding what to do. You just show up and follow through. This doesn't mean every moment of your day needs to be scheduled. It means you're intentional with your hours. You know what needs to get done. You make time for it. You don't leave it to chance. That's how the successful operate. They don't hope their day goes right. They build routines that make sure it does. You need to stop treating your time like it's unlimited. Start treating it like the valuable currency it is. If someone asked to borrow your car every day, you'd think twice. But when distractions ask for your time, you give it freely. That has to change because time is more valuable than anything else. Once it's gone, it's gone. You don't get it back. So every hour should serve your goals, not work against them. There's also something powerful about rituals. Simple routines you repeat at the same time every day. Not because they're exciting, but because they create rhythm. You don't need to constantly switch things up. You need to stay consistent. When your mind knows what's coming, it stops wasting energy guessing. That space becomes focus. That rhythm becomes momentum. It's not about being perfect. You'll miss days. You'll have setbacks. But your identity should be tied to progress, not perfection. Keep showing up. Keep returning to the habits. Even when you fall off, the more you repeat them, the stronger they become. Over time, they stop being effort and start becoming automatic. That's when change really sticks. The habits you choose today are writing your future, not just the big one, even the small ones. How you respond to distraction, how you manage your calendar, how you treat the quiet hours, all of it matters. And the longer you delay building strong time habits, the longer you delay the results you want. Start designing your days, not for comfort, but for growth. Build in space for learning. Build in space for creating. Build in time for recovery. Don't live on accident. Don't let life just happen to you. Be the one in control of how your hours are used. That doesn't mean life will always go according to plan. It won't, but when you have structure, even the hard days have purpose. And structure doesn't mean rigidity. It means clarity. It means knowing what matters and protecting it. It means not letting random things steal your energy. It means deciding ahead of time how your day will look and then following through not perfectly, but consistently. Look at your current routines. Are they leading you closer to the life you want? Or are they keeping you stuck in the same place? If they're not aligned with your vision, it's time to shift, not with a dramatic overhaul, but with clear, simple steps. Replace one useless hour with one intentional one. Choose one new habit and repeat it until it becomes part of your identity. Then build from there. This isn't about hustle. It's about alignment. It's about making sure your time reflects your values, that your actions reflect your goals, that your lifestyle supports your vision. Because if those things don't match, you'll always feel frustrated. You'll always feel like you're working hard but not getting anywhere. Time habits are not about getting more done. They're about doing the right things at the right time. They're about giving your best energy to what matters most. They're about creating space to think, move, and grow with purpose. And once you start building them, you won't want to go back. Because the peace, clarity, and confidence that come from aligned habits is something most people never experience. You don't need to wait for a new week, a new month, or a new year to start. You can begin today, right now, with one choice, one change, one habit. And that small step repeated daily will lead you to the life you've been wanting. But only if you're willing to show up for it. The life you want isn't hidden. It's just on the other side of stronger habits. And those habits are built in time. Your time, you have the power to shape it, to direct it, to use it well. And once you do, the rest will follow. Your results will shift. Your mind will sharpen. Your days will feel different because now you're not wasting time. You're working with it. So take a deep breath. Look at your day and decide what kind of life do you want and what time habits will get you there. Then build them, not once, not occasionally, every day until they become who you are, until they carry you forward, even when motivation fades. That's how real progress happens. That's how you take back your time. That's how you build the life you truly want. Chapter 7. Quit overthinking and just do the next thing. Overthinking will rob you of your time, your energy, and your opportunities. It doesn't make things clearer. It doesn't make you smarter. It only makes you stuck. You sit with the same thoughts, spinning them over and over, searching for a perfect answer, a perfect moment, a perfect feeling. But that's not how progress happens. Life doesn't reward thinking. It rewards doing. And if you want to get ahead, you need to quit overthinking and just do the next thing. Not everything, just the next thing. When you overthink, your mind becomes a trap. Every possible scenario plays out before anything has even started. You talk yourself out of actions that haven't happened yet. You create problems that don't even exist. You delay what could be done in 5 minutes because your mind convinces you it's not the right time. But deep down you know that all this thinking isn't helping. It's a way to avoid discomfort. It's a way to feel in control without actually moving. Doing something, even if it's small, breaks that loop. You can think all day long, but nothing changes until you take one real step. That's how clarity is built, not by sitting still and thinking harder, but by moving forward and learning as you go. One task, one call, one piece of work. That's how momentum starts. That's how the fog begins to lift. Most people aren't lacking in knowledge. They know what they should do. They've read the books. They've watched the videos, but they stay stuck in their heads. They wait for the perfect time. They wait to feel more confident. They wait until everything feels lined up. But that moment rarely comes. And the longer you wait, more pressure builds and the harder it becomes to start. You don't need to have the whole picture. You don't need to know what comes after step 10. All you need is step 1. And that step is always right in front of you. It's the next thing that's obvious. The email that needs to be written, the decision that needs to be made, the workout that needs to happen, the call you've been avoiding. You already know what it is, but you've been stalling, hoping that thinking will make it easier. It won't. Taking action is the only thing that creates movement. Action changes your mood. Action builds momentum. Action teaches you more than thinking ever will. And when you start doing, your mind calms down because now you're giving it direction. You're using your thoughts to support action, not delay it. You have to train yourself to act before your brain talks you out of it. Don't give it time to create fear or doubt. When something needs to be done, count down from 5 and move. Make it automatic. Don't give yourself the option to drift. Don't let hesitation become a habit. The more you delay, the more anxiety grows. But once you move, that tension starts to fade. Think about how many hours you've lost overthinking. How many opportunities you've let pass because you were waiting for certainty. How many tasks are still unfinished because you didn't feel ready. That pattern doesn't serve you. It keeps you spinning in the same place. You don't need more information. You need more courage to act with the information you already have. Progress isn't about perfection. It's about showing up and making small moves. It's about trusting that doing leads to learning. You're not supposed to have it all figured out. You're supposed to keep going. And every time you do the next thing, you get stronger. You build trust in yourself. You stop relying on the perfect plan and start relying on your ability to adjust. You don't need to fix everything today. You don't need to have all the answers, but you do need to stop letting thoughts delay decisions. You do need to stop treating every action like it's a massive commitment. Most of the time, it's just one simple thing that moves you forward. And the quicker you do it, the easier everything becomes. Overthinking makes life harder than it needs to be. It takes a simple task and turns it into a mental burden. It turns minutes into hours and small steps into overwhelming obstacles. But once you act, you realize it wasn't as hard as your mind made it. It wasn't as complicated. You just needed to move. You have to start trusting your ability to handle whatever happens. Stop trying to predict every outcome. You can't control everything, but you can control whether you take the next step or not. And that's enough. That's how you stay in motion. That's how you make real progress. There's power in simplicity. There's freedom in doing the next thing without overthinking it. You don't need a big explanation. You don't need a perfect plan. You need action. You need movement. You need to stop making it harder than it is. Look at what you've been putting off. What's the next thing you need to do? Don't judge it. Don't complicate it. Just do it. That one step might feel small, but it leads to the next and the next. And soon you're building something real. You don't need to get it all done today. You just need to stop standing still. Start where you are. Use what you have. Focus on the next action. That's it. That's the mindset that builds momentum. That's the mindset that creates consistency. That's the mindset that changes your life. You are capable of more than you're doing right now. Not because you're lazy, but because you're letting thoughts overpower action. You're letting doubt take the wheel. But you can shift that. You can become someone who moves, someone who doesn't wait, someone who takes the next step even when the full path isn't clear. This isn't about being reckless. It's about being decisive. It's about understanding that action brings answers. You don't need to feel brave. You just need to move your feet. And the more you do, the more your brain learns to follow your lead instead of holding you back. The fastest way to reduce fear is action. The fastest way to gain confidence is action. The fastest way to create momentum is action. But none of that happens if you keep waiting for the perfect moment. It doesn't exist. The right time is when you decide to move. Start building that pattern now. Every time you feel stuck, every time you feel like you're overthinking, stop and ask, what's the next thing I can do? Then do it. Don't wait to feel motivated. Don't wait to feel certain. Just act. That pattern becomes your advantage. That pattern becomes your strength. You don't need to be extraordinary to move forward. You just need to be consistent. You need to stay in motion, no matter how small the steps are. And every time you choose action over overthinking, you build a stronger version of yourself. This is how successful people move through life. They don't waste energy on mental noise. They stay clear. They act quickly. They focus on what's next. And because of that, they get more done. They grow faster. They succeed while others are still thinking about starting. You have that power too right now in this moment. You don't need more planning. You don't need another excuse. You need to move. You need to stop letting your mind make it harder than it is. You need to stop building walls where doors already exist. So ask yourself, what's the next thing I need to do? Not the most impressive, not the most exciting, just the next one. Then do it. And when you're done, ask again. That rhythm creates momentum. That momentum becomes progress. And that progress leads to everything you're chasing. You're not stuck. You're just overthinking. And the solution isn't to think more. It's to act more. You're not waiting on the world. You're waiting on your own decision. So make it. Do something. Anything. Because the moment you take one step, you start changing your direction. This is where growth lives. Not in endless thought, but in the next thing done over and over again until one day you look back and realize you didn't just think about changing. You actually did. And it all started with one moment of action. Just like this one. Chapter 8. Use pressure as fuel instead of a burden. Pressure is not the problem. The way you handle it is. Every person who has ever done something meaningful in life has felt pressure, but the difference is in how they responded to it. Some people carry pressure like a burden and collapse under it. Others use it as fuel and push forward with even more focus. If you want to grow, if you want to do something that matters, you have to change how you look at pressure. It's not here to destroy you. It's here to shape you into someone stronger, clearer, and more capable. When pressure shows up, it's a sign that something matters. You don't feel pressure over things you don't care about. You don't feel stress over things that don't involve growth. The reason it feels heavy is because it's attached to something real. A goal, a responsibility, a deadline, an expectation, and your response to that pressure determines your path. You can either let it paralyze you or use it to sharpen your focus and drive you to act. Most people were never taught how to handle pressure. They avoid it, escape it, or blame it. They say things like, "This is too much," or "I can't handle all this right now." But pressure is not meant to be avoided. It's meant to be managed. When you run from it, it follows you. When you face it, you grow from it. That's the shift that has to happen. You have to stop seeing pressure as something negative and start recognizing it as a sign of opportunity. You feel pressure because something is expected of you. That expectation can come from others or can come from within. Either way, It puts weight on your shoulders, and that weight can either break your posture or build your strength, but it won't disappear on its own. You have to decide what to do with it. If you carry it with fear, it drains you. If you carry it with clarity, it drives you. So, the first step is to stop letting pressure make you panic. Instead of saying this is too much, say this is what's required right now. That simple shift removes the emotion and replaces it with purpose. Now you're not overwhelmed. You're activated. You're not drowning. You're engaged. Pressure has a way of revealing your habits. When things get tough, your patterns show. Do you start making excuses? Do you freeze? Do you blame others? Or do you take ownership, slow down, and figure out your next move? The way you respond under pressure tells you everything about your current level of discipline. It shows you exactly where you need to grow, and that's a gift, not a curse. The people who win aren't the ones who avoid pressure. They're the ones who train under it. They expect it. They use it to stay sharp. They don't run when it gets uncomfortable. They lean in because they understand that pressure is part of progress. It's not a mistake. It's the cost of caring. It's the price of stepping up. You can start changing your relationship with pressure today. Start by breathing. Pressure builds tension in your body and clouds your thinking. So, you have to bring yourself back to center. Inhale, exhale, slow things down. Then look at the facts. What actually needs to be done? What is within your control? What can be done right now in this moment? Pressure only becomes overwhelming when you try to solve everything at once. Break it down. Handle what's in front of you. Move one task at a time. That's how you take back control. You also need to be careful with the stories you tell yourself about pressure. If you constantly say, "I'm under so much pressure," you'll feel crushed by it. But if you say, "I'm built for this. I've handled more before. I can handle this now," then your mind shifts into a different gear. Your thoughts matter. They either add to your strength or steal from it. Pressure doesn't mean something's wrong. It often means something's right. You're stretching. You're expanding. You're being challenged. And challenge is where growth begins. If life never applied pressure, you'd never move. You'd stay in the same comfort zone for years, telling yourself you'll change someday. But pressure doesn't let you hide. It demands action. And that's what creates transformation. You don't have to enjoy pressure, but you do have to respect it. It's a teach. It's here to show you what you're capable of. It's here to help you level up. Most breakthroughs come right after a heavy moment of pressure. Most success is built in the middle of discomfort. You grow by staying in the pressure long enough to turn it into progress. You also need to stop comparing how you handle pressure with others. Everyone responds differently. What feels light for someone else might feel heavy for you. That doesn't make you weak. It just means you have a different load, a different path, a different wiring. Focus on your own growth. Focus on getting a little stronger each time. The goal is not to remove all pressure from your life. The goal is to rise above the pressure that used to slow you down. Sometimes the reason pressure feels unbearable is because you're trying to carry everything alone. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to delegate, to communicate, to share your struggle. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. You don't have to prove anything by suffering in silence. The strongest people aren't the ones who carry everything by themselves. They're the ones who know how to balance strength with strategy. Pressure is also a signal to prepare. When it builds, ask yourself, what can I do right now to get ahead of this? Preparation gives you power. The more prepared you are, the less pressure can shake you. You can't control every situation, but you can control your readiness. You can get your systems right. You can manage your time better. You can make decisions that reduce the weight on your shoulders. But even when you do everything right, pressure still shows up. And when it does, face it head on. Remind yourself that you are built for hard things, that you are not the same person you were last year, that every challenge you face has brought you to this moment. You didn't get here by luck. You got here by growth. And that growth didn't come easy. So now you don't need to run. You need to rise. You can either let pressure define your limits or reveal your potential. It's a choice. Every time you face something difficult, you're writing your story. You're deciding whether you'll fold or move forward. You're building character, discipline, and resilience. Or you're giving into excuses. One path leads to strength. The other leads to regret. And only you can choose which one you take. Start thinking of pressure as a sign that you're on the edge of something important, that you're not wasting your life, that you're reaching for more. If it feels heavy, it's because you're carrying something that matters, and that's worth something. That's something to be proud of. Every successful person you admire has been in moments where the pressure almost broke them, but they stayed in it. They kept showing up. They didn't collapse. They didn't complain. They kept doing the work, even when it was hard to breathe. And that's what separates the average from the extraordinary. How they handle the weight of responsibility. You can be that person too. The one who uses pressure to focus. The one who stays calm when others panic. The one who pushes forward when things feel overwhelming. That strength is in you. You just have to tap into it. You have to remind yourself that pressure is not your enemy. It's your invitation to rise. So the next time pressure builds, don't run. Don't freeze. Don't crumble. Breathe. Step up. Look in the eye and say, I'm ready. Then do the work. No drama. No delay. Just effort. Just commitment. Just progress. That's how you win. That's how you grow. That's how you turn pressure from a burden into the very fuel that drives your success. Starting now. Chapter 9. Stop wasting hours trying to feel ready first. Waiting to feel ready is one of the most common ways people waste their lives. You sit with an idea, a goal, a plan, and you tell yourself you'll begin. When you feel more confident, when the fear fades, when the timing makes more sense. But the truth is that moment never comes. It's a trap. And the longer you wait to feel ready, the more time you throw away, hoping something inside you will magically change. It won't. You don't feel ready first. You act first. Then the readiness follows. Every single day, someone loses precious time trying to reach a feeling that was never supposed to come before the action. They sit in thought. They delay the decision. They scroll. They consume. They prepare endlessly, but they never start. And all of that energy leads to nothing. Not because they can't, not because they're not capable, but because they're stuck in the idea that real change must begin with a shift in emotion. But emotion is not a trigger for action. It's often a byproduct of action. You do, then you feel different. You move, then clarity appears. You commit, then momentum builds. The successful don't begin because they feel ready. They begin because they're committed. They understand that waiting for permission from their emotions is a losing game. They've learned that action creates the mindset, not the other way around. If you sit around hoping to feel certain, you'll keep hesitating. But if you just begin, your mind adapts. You discover that doing hard things doesn't require feeling confident. It requires choosing discipline over comfort. It's uncomfortable to start when you don't feel ready. You'll feel exposed. You'll feel unsure. You'll want to run back to what's familiar. But familiar doesn't lead to growth. Familiar doesn't give you new outcomes. And the longer you let that hesitation sit, the more it becomes your identity. You stop being someone who moves. You start becoming someone who waits. And life doesn't slow down for that kind of thinking. It keeps moving with or without you. Ask yourself, how many goals have you delayed because you were waiting for the perfect time? How many conversations have you avoided because you wanted to feel stronger first? How many skills have you ignored because you didn't want to be seen as a beginner? All of that, every second of it, is time you never get back. It's life slipping through your fingers while you wait for a green light that doesn't exist. You don't need to feel fearless. You don't need to feel completely prepared. You don't even need to know everything that comes next. You just need to begin. That first step is where everything changes. Not because it solves the problem instantly, but because it breaks the mental loop. It interrupts a pattern of overthinking and inaction. It gives your brain a new reference point, evidence that you can begin even while feeling unsure. Stop over-preparing. Stop pretending that more planning will finally eliminate the discomfort. It won't, no matter how much you map it out. The real growth only begins when you take that first uncomfortable step. Progress is not built in theory. It's built in motion. And waiting to feel different before you move is how people stay stuck for years. You don't become confident by thinking about confidence. You become confident by doing the things you thought you couldn't handle. You gain courage by facing what's hard, not by waiting for it to stop being hard. And you grow by putting yourself in motion before your emotions agree. This is the discipline that separates those who succeed from those who always talk about it. There's a cost of waiting. Every hour you delay is an hour you could have spent learning, practicing, growing, getting better. When you start now, even imperfectly, you begin to build something real. You collect experience. You make progress, even if it's messy. And that's more valuable than sitting around waiting to feel inspired. You don't need inspiration. You need movement. You need one clear decision followed by action, not another excuse. When people say they're waiting to feel ready, what they often mean is they're waiting to feel safe. They want a guarantee. They want to be certain the outcome will be perfect. But life doesn't work that way. There are no guarantees. There are no perfect outcomes. But there is something far better. Progress built through action. You can adjust, you can learn, you can figure out as you go, but none of that is possible until you start. Feeling ready is not a requirement. It's a bonus, and it usually shows up after you've taken a few steps forward. So don't waste your energy trying to manufacture it. Use that energy to create momentum. Use it to finish what you've been avoiding. Use it to take that next step you've been holding off for weeks or months. Even if it's small, even if it feels awkward, even if no one sees it, you have to stop treating readiness like a destination. It's not a place you arrive at. It's a feeling you create by building trust with yourself. Every time you move forward without knowing exactly what's next, you build a stronger version of you. Every time you follow through without waiting for ideal conditions, you train yourself to act instead of hesitate. That's how you build self-respect. That's how you create consistency. So what are you waiting for? Another sign, another plan, another pep talk. You already know what needs to be done. You already know what matters to you. The only thing missing is your decision to move. And once you make that decision, everything begins to shift. The pressure you feel, it's not going away by thinking more. It's waiting to be broken by action. The doubt, it shrinks every time you take a real step forward. The fear, it loses power when you stop letting it control your choices. The longer you wait, the louder these emotions become. But the moment you act, they begin to fade. Not because you destroyed them, but because you stopped letting them lead. Start now before you're ready. While your hands are still shaking, while your thoughts are still uncertain, move anyway. That kind of courage is rare, and it's what sets apart those who talk about change from those who actually live it. You don't need to fix everything today. You don't need to reach the finish line all at once. You just need to refuse to waste any more time waiting for a moment that's not coming. You create your moment. You create your readiness. You create your future. One step, one choice, one action at a time. Let other people wait to feel ready. Let them delay. Let them plan forever. But you're done with that pattern. You're done losing time. You're done trading action for comfort. You're done sitting on ideas that should have already been brought to life. You know enough. You've waited long enough. You prepared more than enough. And now the only thing left is to begin, not when it's perfect, not when it's easy, not when everything lines up, but right now, while it's uncomfortable, while it's unclear, while every part you want to put it off just a little longer. That's where you break the cycle. That's where the real growth starts. And that's where your future begins to take shape, not in thought, but in action, starting now. Chapter 10. End your day knowing you live with intention. The way you end your day says more about your life than any to-do list ever could. It's not about how much you got done, how many calls you answered, how many boxes you checked. It's about whether the hours you live today actually lined up with who you want to become. It's about knowing deep down that your time wasn't just spent, but invested, that you didn't just survive the day. You used it for something real. You lived it with intention, not reaction. You move with purpose, not by accident. And if you can lay your head down at night with that kind of clarity, you're building something powerful, something that lasts. Too many people go to bed feeling unsettled, not because they were lazy, but because they were scattered. They let the day slip through their fingers. They handled everyone else's priorities, but forgot their own. They answered every message, but ignored their goals. They moved from one distraction to another, and by the time the day was over, they were exhausted but not fulfilled. That's not how you're meant to live. That's not how you build a life that feels right, when it's quiet, when no one's watching, when it's just you and your thoughts. Living with intention doesn't mean doing more. It means doing what matters. It means giving your time to things that align with your values. It means protecting your focus so your energy goes toward what really counts. It's choosing to act instead of react. Choosing to lead your day instead of letting the day push you around. And most importantly, it's choosing to be honest with yourself about how you're spending your life hour by hour, task by task. There's a quiet power in finishing your day and knowing that you showed up fully, that you didn't drift through the hours waiting for them to end, that you didn't let noise and distraction shape your direction, that you made decisions, that you followed through, that you treated your time with the respect it deserves. Because time is not just something you manage. It's something you live, and how you use it shapes who you become. Each night gives you a chance to ask the only question that really matters. Did I live this day in a way that moved me forward? Not in a rush way, not in a loud or flashy way, but in a way that felt honest, in a way that meant something to you. Because if your actions don't match your values, you'll feel the gap, even if you don't understand why. That feeling of emptiness, of restlessness, of something being off, that's not laziness. That's misalignment. And you fix it not by doing more, but by being more intentional. When your head hits the pillow, the goal isn't to feel proud of how busy you were. It's to feel peace about how you use your time. Did you give your best effort to what matters? Did you slow down when it counted? Did you listen when it mattered? Did you take care of what you said you would? That's what living with intention looks like. It's not always big. It's not always exciting, but it's always grounded, always real. It helps to look back on the day each night with full honesty. Not to criticize yourself, not keep score, but to learn, to notice, to reflect what went well, what got away from you. Where did you feel most alive? Where did you slip into autopilot? That reflection is how you stay on track. It's how you build awareness. And with awareness, you can adjust, you can improve, you can grow. Not once in a while, but every day. You don't need a long list to live with intention. You need clarity. Just a few priorities that truly matter to you. A handful of actions that reflect your purpose. Then all you need is the discipline to return to them every day, especially on hard days, the tired days, the days that don't go as planned. That's when intention matters most. Anyone can be intentional when things are easy. But if you can stay grounded in what matters, even when life is pulling you in every direction, you've already won. Living with intention is not about perfection. It's about presence. Being where you are, doing what you said you would. Giving your full attention to the moment in front of you, whether that's your work, your health, your family, or your own quiet time. Because when you're present, you don't miss the moments that matter. You don't sleepwalk through the hours. You don't forget what you're here to build. One of the most powerful habits you can build is a nightly review, not a performance check, a presence check. Ask yourself, did I live this day in line with the person I want to be? Was I honest? Was I focused? Did I give my energy to what deserves it or to what demanded it? That practice builds internal strength. It gives you insight that no app or calendar can provide. It's how you stay connected to yourself in a world that's constantly trying to pull you away. You owe it to yourself to build days that feel whole, not perfect, but real. You owe it to yourself to walk into rest knowing you didn't waste a day, that you showed up, that you stayed true to what matters, that you made even one small decision that reflected your future, not just your feelings. Every single day is a page in the story of your life. Some days will be heavy. Some days will be light. But what matters is that you write them with intention, that you don't let life write your story for you, that you choose what fills your hours, what drives your effort, what shapes your choices. Because over time, those choices become habits, and those habits become your life. The world doesn't teach you how to be intentional. It teaches you to react, to rush, to chase. But you don't have to live that way. You can build a different rhythm, one that's slower, one that's focused, one that makes space for what truly matters to you. That kind of life is possible, but it doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you take full ownership of your time. If you want to feel proud at the end of the day, stop chasing urgency and start building consistency. Stop checking your phone every 5 minutes and start checking in with your values. Stop saying yes to everything and start saying yes to what aligns with your purpose. That's how you regain control. That's how you stop the noise and return to what matters. And you don't need to wait for a special day to start. You don't need a new month or a clean slate. You just need to end today differently. To ask yourself one simple thing. What would it look like if I finished this day with intention? Then do it not perfectly, just honest. Maybe it means turning off your screen a little earlier. Maybe it means calling someone you've been meaning to reach. Maybe it means finally sitting down to plan tomorrow before the chaos starts. Maybe it's just giving yourself 5 quiet minutes to be still and breathe. Those aren't small things. Those are the foundations of a life that feels grounded and real. You're not just managing time. You're shaping your direction. You're creating a rhythm that either builds a life you want or slowly drifts away from it. That's why intention matters. It's how you stay aligned with your own values. It's how you make sure your days don't just pass, but actually count. So when the day ends and the noise fades, be someone who can rest knowing they gave it what they had, that they didn't hold back, that they didn't wait for poor, that they chose what mattered over what was easy. Because if you can build a pattern of living that way day after day, you'll not only achieve more, you'll live with more peace. Peace doesn't come from empty space. It comes from a life that reflects what you care about. It comes from knowing that your energy, your time, and your attention are going to the right places. That's the reward of living with intention, not just productivity, but peace, not just progress, but meaning. And when you lay your head down at night with that kind of peace, knowing the day wasn't wasted, knowing you chose to live it on purpose, that's when you know you're on the right path. That's when you know your days are adding up to something real. Not rushed, not scattered, but intention. One day at a time.